Hey everybody, it's Beth Denberg from All That and Figure It Out.
Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dustin and I'm back with another video, and in this video I want to talk about Dan Schneider and Beth Denberg. And if you're a millennial like me and you've been following this story just gets worse and worse and worse as time progresses. And all of this is on the heels of Dan Schneider filing a lawsuit against the producers of Quiet on Set. So there's a lot that we need to talk about. So if you're here for that, stay tuned to this video. Okay, so you guys know that I've been covering Dan Schneider on my channel for a while now. I'm creeped out by him. I do not think that he's a good guy, no matter what he tells you. But today we're specifically going to be talking about Beth Denberg. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you remember her. If you don't, I'm going to refresh your memory really quickly for those in the back that may have forgotten. I don't know why you would forget such an iconic person, but here's a little bit of information you may not have known about Beth Denberg. Beth Denberg is an American actress and comedian born on February 2nd, 1976 in Northridge, Los Angeles, California. She rose to fame as an original cast member of the Nickelodeon sketch comedy series All That, where she showcased her comedic talent from 1994 to 1998. Denberg was known for her memorable characters, including the loud librarian and delivering vital information to the show's young audience.
If it's the 4th of July and Santa comes down your chimney, run like the wind! That ain't Santa! This is no way to treat the world. You can hug your mother. You can ride a bike, but you cannot teach a chicken pot pie to speak Spanish.
Beth's work on All That was a defining part of her career, making her a beloved figure among the show's fans. After All That, Denberg continued her television career with a role as Lydia Liza Gutman on the WB sitcom The Steve Harvey Show. She also made appearances in films such as Good Burger and Dodgeball.
Toss to hands, liberty, and cradle out, okay?
I'm not wearing any panties.
In recent years, Denberg returned to All That for its 2019 revival, passing the torch of vital information to a new generation.
Original All That cast member Beth Denberg.
That's me?
Here's your replacement toast.
I ordered a replacement host, not replacement toast.
Sorry, no returns.
But it's so earth.
Toast? Are you gonna eat that?
No, go right ahead, Reese.
Thanks. You know what they say? Teach a man to fish and he'll never go hungry. Teach a piece of toast to fish and you've just wasted a lot of time, crazy toast lady.
Hey, Reese, how would you like to be the new host of Vital Information?
Can I keep the toast?
Denberg's contributions to All That and her subsequent work have left a lasting impact on comedy and children's television. Her performances have been a source of laughter and inspiration for many. But now that I've caught you up on who Beth Denberg is, let's talk about what she just said about Dan Schneider, because the things she alleged against him are not good. I'm going to be reading and reacting to this Business Insider article. I'm going to link it down below if you're interested in reading along, or if you'd like to just read it for yourself. So let's get into it. So the headline reads, All That star Beth Denberg says Nickelodeon's Dan Schneider showed her initiated phone and lashed out on set. And you guys know, if you watch Quiet on Set, this would be nothing new. There were numerous allegations of him being very difficult to work with on set. You guys know how it goes. People love to exert power. But the article goes on to say, Beth Denberg remembers Dan Schneider calling her into his office and telling her to shut the door. It was 1995, around Denberg's 19th birthday, and Nickelodeon's hit comedy show All That had recently wrapped its first season. Denberg was one of the show's stars, so when Schneider, the head writer of All That, heard that a female producer had met with Denberg to discuss her weight gain, he was angry. Schneider told Denberg that he should have been the one to have that conversation. After all, he understood what it was like to be overweight. First, Denberg appreciated the support, but the conversation shifted, and before Denberg realized it, Schneider started showing her clips of pornography on his computer. The grand finale, Denberg said, was a video in which a woman performed oral sex on a donkey. And think about this for a second. It was probably very difficult for her after all these years to come out and say these things that she's saying in this article, and we're barely at the tippy top of it. So they're starting out really strong with this, but to me it seems like she may be setting the stage for some worse things. But Beth went on to say that she felt like this was the first time that he preyed on her. And I don't care what Dan Schneider says, this is predatory behavior. He's in a position of power over someone that works for him. He's being wildly inappropriate and hard to work with. So in my opinion, all of this tracks. During her 4 seasons starring on All That between 1994 and 1998, Denberg said Schneider put her in countless uncomfortable situations. She said he lashed out at her on set, played porn for her on multiple occasions, and once initiated phone sex Denberg said that looking back, she's disturbed by the power imbalance between herself and Schneider, who was a decade older than Denberg and one of the most powerful people working on All That. He's still one of the most powerful people. You guys have seen everything that has came out about this man and how he ended up filing a defamation lawsuit. And like I said in my last video, I believe that the Streisand effect is going to happen. It's just a wild way to defend yourself, in my opinion. You could have just let this go and you could have just took your L and rode off into the sunset with your bajillion dollars. But you didn't do that, Dan. You didn't do that. Schneider built a children's television empire at Nickelodeon in the early 2000s, creating shows like The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, and iCarly. But his legacy has been marred by accusations of inappropriate behavior. In a 2022 investigation, people who work with Schneider said he requested on-set messages, pushed for young actors to wear revealing costumes, and inserted sexual innuendos into shows. The recent documentary Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, reported further allegations, with Jenny Kilgan saying Schneider showed writers on his computer while they worked. He was constantly testing those around him, seeing how far I can push this person, Denberg said. And this also tracks with everything that everyone else said. I don't understand why Lori Beth Denberg was not on Quiet on Set, but I hear that there's going to be a season 2, so maybe I'm holding out hope we'll get that, because I don't think that this defamation suit with Dan is going to stick, but I guess we'll see. In a statement to Business Insider, Schneider, now 58, said Denberg's accusations are wildly exaggerated and in most cases false. And this is Dan's rebuttal to this. He says, "As I previously stated, there were times, particularly in the early years of my career, that I made mistakes and exhibited poor judgment as a leader," Schneider said. "If I did that with respect to Lori Beth, I sincerely apologize to her, but I cannot apologize for things I did not do." So here we go again with Dan Schneider not taking any accountability. If I did that, if you did that, she's saying you did it, and I believe her over you. So in my mind, at least in my opinion, you did it. But you guys feel free to make up your own mind. But truthfully, like, how are you going to say, if I did something, if I did it? You know if you did it and you know if you didn't. How are you going to say, if I did it, I apologize, but I can't apologize for things I didn't do? That's just word gumbo, buddy. That's just you bumping your gums. There was no point in you even saying this. There was no reason for this. Why does this even exist? Dan literally makes himself look worse and worse every single time he opens his mouth or anytime he makes a statement. This is the first time Denberg has publicly discussed Schneider at length, but it's not the first time she's voiced her concerns. See, I myself, I didn't even know this. Around 2000, Denberg said she told Albie Hecht, that the president of film and TV at Nickelodeon, and Brian Robbins, the co-creator of All That she was worried about how Schneider treated the actor Amanda Bynes. The young star appeared emaciated and exhausted on the set of The Amanda Show, which Schneider created and produced. According to Denberg and another person who worked at Nickelodeon after she spoke with the executives, Denberg was barred from the set of The Amanda Show. So basically what she's saying here, in my opinion, is they blacklisted her, they cut her off, because at that point she became a liability because she got a little bit too vocal for Dan's liking. That's just what I took away from it. You guys let me know what you think down below. Schneider was ultimately ousted from Nickelodeon in 2018 after an internal investigation found he could be verbally abusive, but Denberg said that Nickelodeon's executives' failure to act more quickly forced actors and crew members to endure years of abuse and mistreatment at Schneider's hands. Nobody thinks it's their responsibility to protect people working at Nickelodeon, Denberg said. Instead, higher-ups act as if employees should thank them for the privilege, and it's just absolutely disgusting. And this again is something that I totally believe, because we see this with actors, we see this with singers, we see this with influencers. They get treated like shit all the time. And with Nickelodeon being as big as it was in the 90s, I could totally see this going down this way. If Amanda Bynes were to ever come out and write a book or tell her story, I think she would have all of these people at Nickelodeon scared, especially Dan Schneider. Denberg was a 17-year-old high school senior when she was cast in All That in 1994. She was ecstatic to book her first professional acting gig. Denberg moved to Orlando alone to film for the first season. Off camera, she socialized with the crew and writers, including Schneider. Denberg felt more mature than her young co-stars and thought Schneider was someone she could learn from and maybe even serve as a mentor. Denberg said her relationship with Schneider turned sexual when she was 19. "I couldn't have been more green," said Denberg, pictured alongside Amanda Bynes at the 1998 Kids' Choice Awards. "I couldn't have been more vulnerable. It started with frequent phone calls." Denberg said they would regularly discuss sexual topics, and once Schneider initiated phone sex. When All That filming moved from Orlando to Los Angeles in 1996, Denberg said she began spending late nights at Schneider's home, sometimes sleeping over. While they were not sexually intimate during these sleepovers, Denberg said they would give each other massages, and that Schneider frequently played on his computer. Farrah Alvin, a high school friend of Denberg's, told Business Insider that Denberg told her about the phone sex and as well as Schneider's request for massages at the time. So just to recap here, everything outside of what Lori Beth Denberg is accusing right now, because we already have Dan Schneider making Ariana Grande stick her foot in her mouth and pour water all over herself. We have him having kids email him foot pictures. We have him making sexually explicit jokes in front of people that he works with, sexually harassing people, allegedly, of course. If you guys watch Quiet on Set, you know the things that they alleged against him are sick, and this just sounds like more of the same thing to me. Like, everything sounds the same, and it can't just be all these people calling him out. Like, this many people witnessed this much stuff? Like, this is wild to me. Once, Denberg said Schneider asked her to accompany him to visit the auto repairman. According to Denberg, Schneider had a gun on him. When a police officer pulled over Schneider because of an issue with his car tags, Schneider pushed his gun to Denberg. She said she hid the gun under her skirt as Schneider chatted with the officer, who recognized him from his role on the sitcom Head of the Class. Schneider, she said, then asked the officer if he had any children who watched Nickelodeon and might recognize Denberg. Denberg said her relationship with Schneider developed into a weird abusive friendship. One night when Denberg was around 20 or 21, she said things became physical. Denberg said they were watching Jeopardy at Schneider's home and made a bet on who could get the most answers correct. The winner would get a massage, but when Denberg won, she said Schneider also fondled and put his mouth on her breasts. At the time, Denberg did not necessarily see these interactions as inappropriate, telling herself she was older than 18. It's only in recent years that she started grappling with the power imbalance in these encounters. She felt that if she refused Schneider, there was a possibility he would stop writing sketches for her or humiliate her on set. I'm telling you, and I hate to be like a broken record on this, like, they keep saying the same things. It's the same stories from so many different people. The common denominator here is Dan Schneider.
Common denominator.
Denberg said Schneider's outburst became a problem on set and off set. Once at a dinner with writers and crew members, Denberg recalled Schneider asking the group unprompted whether they ever noticed that Denberg's breasts were different sizes. Wildly inappropriate. Denberg, who was 18 or 19 at the time, said she responded by throwing a bread roll at Schneider, hoping to defuse the situation. Schneider was livid, according to Denberg, yelling that his right eye was hanging on by a thread, before storming out of the restaurant. Karma's a bitch. It was just one of those turns that was just really upsetting and scary, she said. Everyone else seemed to completely blow it off. It sounds like Lori Beth was dealing with a lot of shit at this point, and I can really only imagine the toll that has taken on her over the years, and now there's all these people coming out telling their stories. I bet she was just chomping at the bit being able to tell hers, because it's a lot to keep things like this in. As all that progressed, Denberg said Schneider lashed out more frequently on set. If Denberg pushed back against Schneider, she said, it became more and more of, I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to treat you as badly as I can. Schneider's digs could be subtle. Someone who worked on all that told Business Insider that Schneider could be vindictive toward Denberg, sometimes adjusting scripts to humiliate her. This person and 3 others who worked with Schneider requested anonymity in order to speak freely without fear of professional repercussions. Their identities are known to Business Insider. Once, when Robbins wasn't on set, Schneider made Denberg wait more than an hour on the chilly soundstage, freezing and soaking wet, to film a sketch as Sweaty Woman. Denberg starred in another recurring segment called Vital Information. According to Denberg, Schneider would refuse to write her jokes for the segment until the last minute, forcing her to perform live without rehearsing. Denberg said it felt like a power play, to purposefully upset her. Other times, Schneider exploded. Denberg said working with Schneider carried the threat that the big man might turn around to yell at you and attack you out of nowhere. Once, Schneider wanted Denberg to adjust how she had sung a song in a scene where she told him to talk to Robbins, the episode's director. She said Schneider snapped and said he would tell her anything I fucking want. And I really think she pegged it. It's definitely big guy, little guy with him. He wants to be the bad guy. He wants to be the Hollywood producer that writes all these jokes about feet and gets away with it.
Have you ever tried to get your whole big toe in your mouth? Check this out.
You win, Dan. If the contest is for being a sick old nasty guy, you win. But I guess that is what happens when you have a face only your mother could love. Angelique Bates, who starred in the first 2 seasons of All That, starting when she was 13, told Business Insider in 2022 that Schneider once screamed at her after a sketch went off the rails. Bates said the incident was so intense that she ran away in tears. A person close to Schneider responded to Business Insider's 2022 investigation, stating that Schneider never screamed at anyone, but the Bates may have been upset by his direction. direction. You got sucked in with the fun, Denberg said. The joy of working on a comedy show together makes those turns that much more impactful, hurtful, and devastating. When Denberg left All That in 1998 after its 4th season, she never wanted to see Schneider again. But roughly a year later, Bynes asked Denberg to visit the set of her new series, The Amanda Show. Denberg couldn't refuse. Can you guys imagine for a second like how mentally taxing that would be to see Amanda Bynes going through this in real time? Because we've only heard about it like in secondhand accounts, and she has her own first-person account of seeing the bullshit that Amanda Bynes went through at Nickelodeon with Dan Schneider and all these people. And you also have to think at that time Lori Beth Denberg was also very young herself, and she had all these people above her that were older than her not giving a shit about her. She literally said that they did not give a shit about any of the child actors at Nickelodeon at this point. That's just so sad to me, because when we watch these shows as kids, they all look so bubbly, funny, and energetic, when behind the scenes they had all this crap going on.
Hi everyone! It's time for Ask Ashley.
That's me!
I guess the saying is true, you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. When Denberg left All That in 1998 after its 4th season, she never wanted to see Schneider again. Denberg had long worried about how Schneider treated Bynes, who was 10 years old when she joined All That in season 3. On Bynes' first day of filming, Denberg recalled Schneider adjusting her script at the last minute, upsetting the young actor. Denberg said she cheered up Bynes, then told Schneider that he couldn't change the little girl's lines on the spot. She recalled him responding, "I can do whatever I want." This guy is such an asshole. I believe her so much. I believe her so much, you guys. If you believe Lori Beth Denberg, please let me know down below. And if you don't agree with her, let me know why as well. I'm not here to argue. I want to know people's different perspectives on this, because I believe her. I could see Dan Schneider being the guy, the evil nemesis that everybody describes him as. I can see it. When Denberg visited the Amanda Show, the 13-year-old Bynes looked gaunt, she said. While Denberg didn't interact with Schneider directly, she said she overheard him say that the show had to stop filming recently because Bynes was tired. Denberg's friend Alvin recalled her saying after the visit that Amanda was not okay. Given her own negative experiences with Schneider, she decided to speak to Schneider's boss, Brian Robbins, the executive producer and co-creator of All That. Robbins' company, Tall and Robbins Productions, also produced the Amanda Show and served as Bynes' talent manager. So good on her for actually trying to speak up and use her voice and look out for Amanda Bynes, because I don't feel like she really had a lot of that going on for her. Good on you, Lori Beth Denberg. Good on you for being a girl's girl. In a meeting in the Tall and Robbins offices, Denberg said she told Robbins she had once thought Schneider could be a mentor to her. She burst into tears and explained that she was worried about Amanda Bynes. She said Robbins did not ask any follow-up questions, but told her Schneider hadn't had it easy either. That's so disgusting. Even before the meeting, Denberg did not trust Robbins. He and Schneider were longtime friends, having starred together in the 1980s hit Head of the Class. People who worked with Nickelodeon in the 90s said that Robbins knew about Schneider's temper and witnessed Schneider's on-set massages from crew members and extras firsthand. Denberg left the Tall and Robbins offices determined to find someone who would listen to her concerns. She said she made an appointment at Nickelodeon's New York headquarters. In the 2000 meeting, she recalled telling Albie Heck, the president of Nickelodeon Entertainment, that Amanda Bynes was in trouble. She said Schneider was a problem and didn't care about anything except himself. She said she did not discuss her sexualized encounters with Schneider with either Hecht or Robbins. Hecht listened politely. According to Denberg, he later called her to say Nickelodeon had rearranged Bynes' shooting schedules in an effort to make them less taxing on the actor. Why did it have to take someone speaking and advocating for Amanda Bynes for her to get better treatment? Why were they not treating her well to begin with? When Denberg was back in Los Angeles, a friend who worked on the Amanda Show called to tell her that her photo had been hung in a guard shack, banning her from the set. Someone who worked on the show confirmed to Business Insider that Denberg's photo had been posted and that it was common knowledge that she was barred from expressing concerns about Schneider. Denberg was hit with a wave of disgust and defeat and sadness. "I felt like I tried to help her, to help Amanda, and couldn't," Denberg said. In March 2018, Nickelodeon announced that the network and Schneider had come to a mutual decision to part ways. 3 years later, the New York Times reported that Viacom CBS, now Paramount Global, cut ties with Schneider following an internal investigation, which found no evidence of sexual misconduct but concluded that Schneider could be verbally abusive. executive. It infuriates Denberg that Schneider spent years thriving at Nickelodeon after she spoke to executives. Hecht went on to produce hits like the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, and in 2003 he launched Spike TV. Robbins built a career as a director and producer before returning to Nickelodeon as president in 2018. A few months after Schneider's departure in late April, Robbins was one of 3 executives promoted to lead all Paramount Global as co-CEO. While Bynes did not respond to a request for comment, the actor has publicly struggled with her mental health. Bynes was released from a conservatorship in 2022 and placed on psychiatric hold twice in 2023. Denberg said she hopes that by finally talking about Schneider, others will feel safe to do so as well. The 48-year-old, who still acts, knows it could ruin her future chances of working in television, but she is willing to take that risk. She wants Nickelodeon to take responsibility, and she wants people to know what Schneider did. There's right and wrong, Denberg said, and there's true and false. And that is the end of the article. And I want to know what you guys think, because this does cover a lot. I'm glad to hear that she actually did try to speak up for Amanda. I did not know that. And I think that that speaks volumes to her character. She was looking out for Amanda Bynes when literally nobody else was. But if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it. And if you made it this far in the video, leave me the globe emoji down below. I'm sure you'll know why.
This is no way to treat the world.
But with that said, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.